African great apes are in danger of losing their natural habitats. Gorillas, chimpanzees and bonobos are already listed as endangered and critically endangered wildlife, but the climate change crisis, the destruction of wild areas for minerals, timber, food, and human population growth is on track to decimate their ranges by 2050, the scientists said. African great apes are facing a looming danger due to a devastating human encroachment. Apes stand to lose over 90% of their natural habitats in Africa within the forthcoming decades. Half of the projected lost territory will be in national parks and other protected areas in Africa. African great apes are facing a looming danger of losing their natural habitats due to a devastating human encroachments to their natural homelands in the continent. Recent study conducted in the United Kingdom showed that chimpanzees, bonobos and gorillas, the human closest biological relatives, are in a great danger to lose over 90% of their natural habitats in Africa within the forthcoming decades. The study, that was conducted by John Moores University in Liverpool and was led by Dr. Joanna Carvalho and colleagues, had revealed a shocking report on the future of great apes in Africa. Gorillas, chimpanzees and bonobos are already listed as endangered and critically endangered wildlife, but the climate change crisis, the destruction of wild areas for minerals, timber, food, and human population growth is on track to decimate their ranges by 2050, the scientists said. Half of the projected lost territory will be in national parks and other protected areas in Africa, the study shows. The study used data from the International Union for Conservation of Nature (IUCN's apes database, pegging on species populations, threats and conservation action at hundreds of sites over the past 20 years. The study then modeled the combined future impacts of global heating, habitat destruction and human population growth. Most great ape species prefer lowland habitats, but the climate crisis will make some lowlands hotter, drier and much less suitable. Uplands will become more attractive, assuming the apes can get there, but where there is no high ground, the apes will be left with nowhere to go, part of the report said. Some new areas will become climatically suitable for the apes, but the researchers doubt whether they will be able to migrate into those regions on time due to the types of diet and their lower reproduction rate. Great apes are not very good at migrating to other areas outside their original habitats as compared with other wildlife species, researchers said. Central and Western Africa rangelands are already much smaller than in the past, researchers said, warning that by the year 2050 we could see the number of great apes in Africa decline dramatically. The export of minerals for mobile phones, timber, and palm oil are major drivers of great ape populations' rapid decline, researchers said. All nations benefiting from these resources have a responsibility to ensure a better future for great apes, their habitats and the people living there, said Hal Markool, from the German Center for Integrative Biodiversity in Leipzig. The research was conducted by scientists from almost 50 universities, research institutes and conservation organizations and published in the Diversity and Distribution Journal. Researchers have modeled how the monkeys would fare under both a business-as-usual and optimistic conservation-based scenario. A perfect storm of climate change, habitat loss and human population growth could cause great apes in Africa to lose up to 94% of their homelands by 2050, they said. Even as steps are taken to protect the primates, the team found that their habitat is likely to shrink on top of the losses already suffered. The great ape species in Africa are mostly found and living in Tanzania, Uganda, Rwanda, Democratic Republic of Congo, Cabinda region of Angola, Central Africa Republic, CAR, and Gabon. There are several species of the great apes living across the equatorial forests in West Africa, some in Cameroon, Equatorial Guinea and Senegal. These gentle wild animals and human closest relatives are now rated the most expensive and rare tourist attractions in Africa, drawing crowds of holidaymakers within and outside this continent, which is now the rising global tourist destination. The African Tourism Board, ATB, recognize and cherish the importance of wildlife conservation for the future of tourism in Africa. ATB is currently working closely with African governments, wildlife conservation organizations and individual nature conservationists on campaigns targeting the protection of the African wildlife for the present and future development of tourism in Africa.